everyone. So today I really want to just go over the chord progressions, how I created them. So I decided it would be really good to create like a set patch list in Omnisphere and just use the same patches for all of the progressions. Now, it's not going to be 100% of them because some of them I've already pre-captured or recorded at an earlier date. So from now on, though, I'm going to be producing all of the chord progressions using that same patch list. So if you go to the site and go to the progressions page, I created a small tutorial here called, how I made these example progressions. And obviously that's probably where you found this video. And for example, on the site, the idea here is to have a kind of a database of chord progressions, because when I was first getting started, I remember asking people, like, how do you know what to play? Like, how do you know what progressions to even come up with? And they would just say stuff like, we just make it up. Well, that was different for me because I was just getting started. Not only was I just getting started learning how to play the piano, how to use electronic sounds in worship, but just prayer cycles in general was new to me. So I felt like maybe a database up here would help others who are getting started. And maybe if you're just, usually use like the most common chord progressions, which I'll probably use as an example today, is like 6, 6, 4, 5. So common. Maybe this will help you break out of that and give you some ideas for progression lists. Or if you're just in a rut and you can't think of something, you want something fresh, maybe you could come here to this database. So the way we have it organized here is by what it's starting on, and this might change in the future. I'm trying to figure this out actually as I go, but I gotta get moving on this project. So as an example, if you were to click on one of these, like, so there's a basic piano sound, and I will have a piano sound that will run. 6, 5. 4, 6, 5. So there I pulled in some of the percussion sounds that we're using. And then I'll drop, so I went to both, and then I'll drop all the way out with the piano and just keep the other patches. You can see there's a pad, kind of arpeggiation, percussion kind of loop. So that's an example of the progression that we're doing. So I just kind of wanted to go over the sounds that I'm actually using. First thing I have is basically just a simple piano here. So there you go, you got your piano. And then I have some Omnisphere patches. Now, I wanted to create kind of a patch list here, a multi, based solely on the factory preset patches. So I did not even go through all of them. I just kept moving through them until I found one. There's so many of them. There's over 10,000. And so I just started moving through the list until I found one that I kind of liked, kind of felt like it was, something I was looking for at the time. And of course that changes, so I'm going to try to stick to this list for most of the future chord progression examples. Let me just go over these patches so that you can get an idea of what they are. So here's the pad. It's just a nice warm pad that really fills in. It's kind of a vocal pad. Here's one called Anticipation of Energy. So that's how that one sounds. Here's one called Electro Ebo. You notice some of them have slightly different arpeggiated rhythm. The reason I chose that was so that, you know, based on whatever different type of progression, I might have some kind of a patch here that would accommodate that. The next one, Flying Wasp Plucks. Okay, so the poppy plucker I really kind of like because it's an arpeggiated plucker sound, which means you can just hold it down like this. Or you also have the ability to just kind of do like a hit. Nitrous bass. So that's an example of that. The little energizer. And then the Android Heartbeat. So between these 8 patches and the piano sound itself, we're going to build these progressions for the site. The other thing I've done is I've included 3 possible beats that I'm going to use, and I thank Truman Faulkner for these. And in fact, if you go out to his website, let's pull this up. So trumanfaulkner.com is looking for a website. If you go to the link that says My Gear, he describes this. I highly recommend looking at this, as well as these 2 links here, Caleb Culver's basic gear overview and Josh Hawkins. I've watched these videos so many times when I was first starting out. But down at the bottom of his post, he has a link here for Truman's 31 loops. And so he actually it's a zip file that you can download that he's graciously given us. And so that is exactly, these are where these 3 loops came from. So they came out of that zip file. So let's take a listen to those. Huge. All right. Just a simple, basic drum loop there. And this one I'm not sure if we'll ever use, but you never know. All right, so that's basically the patches, the patch lists that we're going to be using, and some of the percussion loops that we're going to be using in the creation of these chord progression examples. Might add some pad. Might want to latch that pad in there. Start pulling in some other sound, like maybe a beat. All right, so I hope this helps. We're going to be doing more and more tutorials here in the future. I'm really struggling here just to get started and get this whole thing moving. I've never done this before. Obviously, I'm still struggling with my sound quality. I don't like it. I'm going to be working on that. So until it gets better, please bear with me, but take the information and apply it to your situation. I hope this helps.